What do we know about these latest strikes?
Yeah, good afternoon, Kamali. I mean, there's been a lot of tit-for-tat going on, hasn't there? Explosions earlier in the week with the comms yesterday evening, IDF airstrikes, 100 Hezbollah rocket launchers, potentially 1,000 rockets, a 2-hour period of attacks where it wasn't just weapons, it was ammunition stores and everything. The Israeli Air Force have actually been continuing to conduct air patrols across the skies of southern Lebanon. We've heard sonic booms, flares being released, clear show of force. And then Hezbollah earlier on today launched this retaliatory attack of 140 rockets. They were the Katyusha rockets, so they're the unguided ones. Probably the Iron Dome system would have shot most of them down. And then we're hearing about this targeted strike into Beirut. More about that once we know more details.
But I suppose that would be an escalation when it's striking the capital city like this with an airstrike, if that's the case?
It might be. I think when you're into the escalation, it always goes back now to why are we seeing this happen now? And part of that is, if you ever since the 7th of October, the attacks by Hamas, Israel's been largely focused on the Gaza Strip, working systemic down from north to south, clearing out the area there. Iran, as a supporter of Hamas, has wanted to be helping them, and therefore, by distracting the Israelis, they've been doing continuous attacks to the north of the country to try to force a two-front war. In other words, take the pressure off Hamas. Well, now, Prime Minister Netanyahu's turned around and said, actually, we're largely finished in the Gaza, and he's now pivoting his forces up to the north. We've seen the fighters operating to the north. We've had video footage emerge of tanks and armoured personnel carriers being moved up, and also a lot of troops being moved up. So the main effort appears to be moving up towards Hezbollah, and all of this is not coincidence timing. The timing of the attack on the communications setup for Hezbollah, which has destroyed the command and control system, is all a demonstration of IDF capability and an intent to actually tackle the Hezbollah threat. And that's the context within which this strike against a target in Beirut is happening.
So what happens next, then?
Well, the real commentary is whether we're on the brink of war, isn't it? That seems to be the worry. Now, tensions are escalating at the moment, but it's pretty clear Lebanon doesn't want to see an escalation. And what is really interesting, the first time I was asked about these 140 rockets coming across, we were expecting Hassan Nasrallah to do something after the attack yesterday. 140 rockets that are unguided, that Israel can shoot out of the skies, at the bottom end of what we might have thought. The memories will serve from 2006, the last big war that happened in the region. IDF are maybe the dominant military capability in the region, but it's a war that they find really difficult to fight. If you actually look at the map of the region, they surrounded Gaza, therefore they can control the flow of weapons. If you look to the north, in Lebanon, Israel can't control the supply of arms to Hezbollah. Iran can continue to pour those supplies in. Therefore, it's a war they can't really win, and therefore it's a war they probably don't want to get involved in. So Israel's almost certainly doing a clear demonstration of intent, a clear show of force, putting pressure on Hassan Nasrallah. But I suspect what we're seeing is a slight moderation of actual activity. And let's be clear, the key to this is not up there. The key to this is about a ceasefire in Gaza, because until you get that, until you get the hostages released, Iran has been really clear it is going to continue to fan the flames of this until the ceasefire is in place.
Sean, just stay with us a moment, because as we've been talking, some more detail has come across the wires. Hezbollah are now saying that Al-Manar TV, which is their television station, that one person is dead and 14 wounded in that strike, and also being reported now by the Reuters news agency, is that the target of that strike was a Hezbollah commander, Ibrahim Aqil. That's according to Israel Army Radio, who are citing security sources. And just the sense of this now, that there is a strike on the Lebanese capital, Beirut, that has possibly targeted a senior member of Hezbollah. We saw a strike in Damascus that knocked out another Hamas leader, I think, there, and obviously that strike in Tehran that knocked out the leader of Hamas there. Israel is hitting capital cities and knocking out their enemies at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be careful about jumping to conclusions about one individual. I think as a military guy, if you take out the command and control structure, the comms, you're often trying to force your enemy onto a different communications channel. So they can't use the pagers anymore, they can't use the walkie-talkies, so they'll probably be reverting back to telephones. And if you do that, they're a lot easier to track. And that may have been led to the downfall if this is a Hezbollah leader. But of course, as the dust settles, Hezbollah will be trying to regroup, think about how on earth they got infiltrated, how they had that shortcoming, and they will be adapting to a new way, which will make life very difficult again for the Israelis to track. Therefore, it's no great surprise that the Israelis are taking the opportunity, whilst they know where these key figures are, to try and prosecute them. But again, I suspect that the last thing I think we want to see, or I suspect Israel wants to do, is actually go into the Lebanon, because once they do that, they are the dominant force, but they'll struggle to win. And history suggests that will be a very dangerous approach for them to take.
Absolutely. OK, Sean, do appreciate that. Thank you for now. We're looking at pictures of the Israel-Lebanese border. As Sean was saying just a short while ago, there's been exchange of fire across that border today, continual exchanges of fire really since the 8th of October, after the 7th of October Hamas attacks. And that news that we just brought you with a targeted strike, the IDF say, on a target, a site in Beirut, the Lebanese capital. We'll get more detail exactly as to who was the target of that strike, but Israeli army radio citing security sources say that the target was the Hezbollah operations commander Ibrahim Aqil.